Hey, what's good everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Orfe and today I'm taking y'all behind the scenes on how I shot these photos. This shoot was inspired by Maybelline, MAC, and all these cosmetic brands that you see maybe on those billboards and stuff like that. So I'm taking you behind the scenes today, how I shot the video, how I shot the photos, but also how I edited and graded the footage. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Orfe. I'm a fashion and commercial photographer. My goal on this channel is to help a lot of photographers like yourself who want to learn studio lighting, but also commercial work. Because at the end of the day, once you start getting into photography, you will be asked to reproduce certain photos. And that's the goal of this channel. All right, so stick around and let's jump right into this tutorial. Today I'm shooting with Hyacinthe. Hyacinthe is a model based in Montreal. She's also a professional athlete. And on the makeup, I have Aïcha. I got my inspiration from Pinterest. I knew that I wanted something clean, something crisp, but also I wanted something with a pop. So what I did at first, I took the umbrella. Although the light was still diffused, but it was still directional. It was a little bit too directional for me. I didn't have that softness that I was looking for. Since I had a second light shooting on the wall to get that white background, I had a problem because the light kept hitting the right side of my model's face. I had to find a way to just put a board to block the light, but I was still getting that, you know, that harsh light on the side. I love a little bit of kick light on the side, a little accent light on the side, but this was a little bit too much for me in my opinion. Of course, it was a little bit too bright. To solve the problem, first of all, I had to move the model away from the wall and get in the spot where the model was completely separated from the backdrop. I was shooting with the Canon R5 and the 100mm macro, and also I envisioned close-ups, so the macro was the perfect lens for me. As you can see, I'm shooting through a 12x12 diffusion silk because I wanted something really soft on the skin with nice transition, and I made sure that the model was next to it just so it can wrap up a whole face but also give a little bit of shadow. When you shoot with the macro lens, when you shoot with this lens, there's something that happens. You know, usually I shoot at f8 and everything, it's fine, everything can be sharp. But the first shot, when I thought that everything was fine and the lighting was set, I shot at f8, but the model's hand was not in focus. Her eye was in focus, but her hand was not in focus. So I had to close my aperture and go to about f20 or f22. This is something you gotta pay attention to, especially when you shoot with the macro. I had the model on an Apple box and on a little stool because I wanted her arm to be at her face level and to be a little bit comfortable while posing and, you know, changing hands. This is just practical because I didn't have like a posing table, so these were my options. I shot the video with the Red Komodo and the 35mm cine lens. I forgot the brand for Mike or Mike, I think that's the name, but you're gonna see the spelling on the screen. And since I don't have two powerful lights, I only have one powerful light. The only thing that I had to do was just bring the model a little bit closer to the wall just so that light could spill on that wall to have kind of a bright wall, but not as bright as the photos. But for me, the whole goal of having this campaign type of shoot was just for me to give a different angle of the shoot, but the company could use this for the branding. So that was the whole idea behind the video. And sometimes you don't need to have everything lined up perfectly or look perfectly the same. It's just a concept. It could be a concept and everything goes together because they recognize the model, they recognize the product, and that was the whole idea behind this shoot. Now let me take you to my editing process. As you may know, I do all my shoots in Capture One, tethered directly into Capture One, and this was my session. These were the photos that I selected. So this is straight out of the camera going straight into Capture One. This is what it looked like, but as you can see, it's a little bit faded, and That's not the look that I want. I always want something that pops, something that looks like a commercial. So you got to make all those features pop, but also remove that haze. So this is the after, and to achieve this, it's simple. What I usually do is I just click on the curve. I select the curve. I'm going to show you what I do. I boost my blacks. I just pull my blacks a little bit, depending. I'm just at the same time look at the photo, what it looks like. This is the first treatment that I do whenever I trying to get a crisp image and remove the haze. So this is my first treatment, as you can see. So now from this, I did the same thing for all of them. If you even get the before and after, this is the before and this is the after. Same thing, before and after. And then I export my photo to Photoshop. So what I usually do, so I'm just going to start from the beginning. For example, this photo, I have a different layer here, which is this layer, this particular layer, this one. This layer is the one that goes into Evoto. Sometimes I go to Evoto to give me the basic retouching. So what I mean by that, it just remove all the little blemishes, and this is a little bit full blast, and I don't mind taking this, but this will never be my final result because it doesn't represent how I edit my stuff. But also I just want to mention that this technique would have taken me a lot of time, but with Evoto it helps me get to this result first and then go to Photoshop, and now being more clinical and being more precise with my retouching. So now let me take you, okay, so let's go. We were here. This is the photo. Okay, these were the photo before and after. So what it does, as you can see, it removes the bags under the eye, a little bit of dodge and burn, the lines on the, and this is just sliders, to be honest. All right. So by the way, Evoto didn't sponsor this video, nothing. It's just me. It's a tool that I use, and I just wanted to tell you how I go about it. So but my goal is to combine both Evoto and Photoshop. So now this is my Evoto retouch photo. As you can see, my opacity is at about 53%. So instead of having it full 100%, because that's not what I want, I just put it down, and then I start removing everything on my own, like remove a few little things here and there. This is the before, this is the after. Remove some stuff on the bottle, and of course this is just for the net. If I would have printed this, I'm probably not going to be using Evoto, but still, it's always a good starting point. And then there is my dodge and burn. As you can see, under the eye around here, I use dodge and burn to just reduce the bags. On this side, there's a little line here, white line. I use that to just just diminish, or just put it down a little bit. Just the dodge and burn method helps me a lot. And the next step is I do a kind of a general dodge and burn through channels. Using channels, usually I go with the RGB and I select the RGB, and then I apply it on a curve layer, and this is what it gives me. And from that I change my, my blending mode. Let me see here. I change my blending mode to multiply. So this is the, okay, now let me show you. I want to show you how it looks like. Okay, so I'm just good. So this would have been, this is what it does as soon as I apply my I change my blending mode to multiply. All right, this is what it gets. But now the goal is to to put everything into a group, and then I add a mask, and from the mask I start painting on the photo. And this is where I painted because of the angle and because of the nice, she has a beautiful shape of her head, but there was this little part here, that little bump here on the, or dump on this part, that bothered me. And it's not a big deal, but what I just did, I try to make it more even. It's not, to be honest, it's not a big deal, but I'm looking at it as a more, you know, commercial type of shoot. This is just for me to show you a little bit of my process. And at the end, I add a noise layer. This is my noise, and you're probably not gonna see it, but this is the noise that I add. This is the full noise, but once again, I do everything through channels by choosing the RGB channel. It's usually the same process for all photos. For example, this photo, and if I had to start from here, I had to remove some of the things on the balloon. For this photo, I didn't go to Evoto, but it's just a question of clearing everything up and add the black and white layer, and then you kind of see with the black and white layer what are the parts. If I go back a little bit, you will see by enabling, you kind of see what the dodge and burn does, and then a little bit of skin smoothing, then a little bit of contrast. It really depends on how I want to get that, but this is my black and white layer, and I go to blend if, and current layer, I just reduce my black. I separate the black. If I don't separate the black, this is the kind of photo, this is what I get. But by separating the dark part, the shadows, the blacks, actually, by pressing option and putting just one part, this is what I get. And then I start playing around. This is actually the black and white layer, and I start putting around and playing a little bit with the blacks, the red or the yellow, just to give different type of vibe or dimension. I add an extra layer to add more dimension, and of course noise at the end. Now for the video, I shot everything with the Red Komodo as I mentioned, but I edited everything in DaVinci Resolve. So this is the before, this is the raw. I shot everything in raw, and this is the before and this is the after. And I'm just gonna, let me show you what I start with. So this is my first layer. I usually start with my first node, not layer, but my first node. I add a color space transform to just transform my log footage. I shot it with the red, and I was shooting in log 3G10, and etc. Like I always say, for some people they use different things, but for me this is what I use and it works fine for me. So this is what I gonna do, and you know, this is a good base for you to start. And from that point, when I'm done with this, I go on the first layer, play with my primary. And on the primary, it's just me using the log wheel and some curves and sliders. If I go here, some things were changed. This is what I've done. I don't want to go too deep into that, but this what I've done, change a little bit the color. But also when you have the red, you can go and change the ISO and change your color temperature directly onto the file that was shot. And I feel this is very flexible, especially when you shoot with the red or with the black magic. And then I added a beauty layer. What it does, it kind of adds a little bit of, you know, softness, and then details for me to add a little bit more. It's not clarity, but it acts more like a sharpening tool. And this is, I get it on the HDR wheel. Now what am I doing? On this right here, and then I go to mid details, and this what gives me that little crisp and more details, you know. And then I have the enhancer. I use the enhancer film, and I choose for this one I chose the Fuji let me see, the Fuji Eterna Vivid, you know, 500. But I felt like the colors were a little bit too red, or yellow, too yellow. So I went on the color wheel, went back on the primary and changed some of the tones by using, as you can see, this is before and after, and then a little bit of desaturation. I wanted to desaturate my footage just a little bit. All right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, please write in the comment. It will be a pleasure for me to answer them. All right, see you in the next episode. My name is Orphe the Meat Baby. Peace out.